So for today's topic, we're going to talk about pest remediation, and I'll launch this topic by painting a scenario and asking you to empathize in the process. Imagine you're a restaurant general manager, and imagine you're serving at lunchtime and your restaurant is all but full of people that love your brand, love your food, and you're a successful restaurant operator. How do you respond when a rat runs through the dining room in the middle of your lunch rush? What do you do? What do you say? How do you deal with it?
First thing you do is make your approach to the guests and do whatever you can to make it right by them. Second thing is get a hold of your pest remediation company to come in and find where that critter has gotten into your building and seal it up. Now, pest remediation is a broad topic. You've got small flies, roaches, rodents, you could have snakes, you could have raccoons, possums, all kinds of critters of different kinds can come in. Of course, in the south and growing further north, you have these little critters that come out of the ground that eat the frames of your buildings, called termites. Some of these specialties, you need specialized companies to deal with. But a lot of the pest remediation will be the roaches, the rodents, and the small flies. The key is getting rid of the source, finding how they're getting in the building, particularly for rodents and roaches, and sealing that up and closing up all those openings inside and outside. And the second thing is, if you have small flies or roaches, or other ants or whatever, where are they breeding and nesting, and where is their harborage? And cleaning that up and getting rid of it and getting rid of the food for them. Rodents, they leave a trail of, shall we say, little chunks of things. And they also—
How about we just call it droppings?
Droppings, that'll work, but I like chunks better. Anyway, and they also leave liquid trail that can be picked up with certain specialty lightings. Getting rid of them is the remediation company's job. Stopping them from coming in is your job.
Well, it has generally been our experience as well that there are usually the requirements for some changes to the housekeeping procedures within the restaurant. There may be some areas that are hard to get to and may not be cleaned as well as they should be, and so don't be surprised if the remediation checklist has included in it some housekeeping issues as well.
Be a lot of them.
Yeah.
That lemon that's underneath the service bar top that's been sitting there and slowly breaking down and becomes the wonderful feeding spot for all those small flies, what's called fruit flies or drain flies commonly, but now has been switched over to small flies. And I think it's red-headed and black-eyed flies. Doesn't matter what they're
fruit flies.
They're fruit flies, and they'll live in all kinds of places that require constant cleaning and maintenance. I don't know how many times you've walked in, you've seen the conical-shaped Dixie cups over the top of all the liquor bottles every night to keep them from going in there and feeding in all those spouts overnight. Cleaning is 80% of the issue of getting rid of and reducing the incidence of all pests within your space, including the large rodents and the raccoons and all that kind of stuff. If you have food for them, they'll be there.
That goes back to what you said about getting rid of the source.
Dumpsters, keeping the dumpsters closed all the time when you aren't loading and unloading. Keeping a clean dumpster outside. If it's dirty, have the trash company haul it away, pressure wash it, and bring back a clean one. The same thing for the grease recycle barrel if this is a food service operation. And what we've been talking about applies not just to restaurants, but to any facility. I don't care if you are a clothing store. You'll get roaches in your cardboard boxes. It's supposed to make sure that the truck that they come in has been treated to keep pests under control, but they may live in the truck, climb into the box, and come into your place.
And that's back to the food source. The roaches actually eat the glue, that is the adhesive, in the cardboard boxes.
Things that you can specifically do is do a good audit of the facilities on a regular basis, walking around the outside of the building and making sure that you have a sealed exterior envelope to the building. And you need to have exterior traps for particularly rodents in the landscape area, because they're going to live there. You can't stop that. On the inside, again, looking for specific holes and areas. And then
You know, if you're sorry to interrupt, Don, just to take these a little bit
Oh, no, you
further
can't
in each
interrupt
one.
me.
You know, if you can see light under a door, when you stand on the inside and look at the door, if you can see light under the door, that's an access point for a roach or a family of roaches. They don't travel in alone, they travel in packs. So,
And for rodents, if it's the size of a dime, a mouse can get through it. If it's the size of a quarter, a rat can get through an opening that size. That's any ant or roach can get underneath the sweep of a door if it isn't tight, and some mice and rats can get through that. So there's a lot of areas there that they can get to. Now the other one is dry floors. If you have wet floors, you're going to grow small flies. There's no way around it. It's going to happen sometime during the year, and then you're going to fight them for months getting rid of them.
and we primarily see the fruit fly infestation at the bar. If you can imagine all the syrups and the soda guns and the syrup spills on the floor, we find ourselves going back to the housekeeping practices over and over again here, and that those spills have to be cleaned up, because otherwise they are a food source, and that's where they come from.
And of course, the kitchen is oftentimes the primary source for food for the rodents, but they can get it almost anywhere. If you have scraps that are falling off of a plate somewhere, or who knows where. Now again, we're talking about restaurants, but you'll find in employee break areas in retail operations, that's where you're going to find food for all this.
Ultimately, what you've heard described here is first and foremost a housekeeping concern. Secondly, you're going to have your pest professionals, pest remediation professionals, are also going to make a list of recommended and in some cases required action items on the part of others besides just the housekeeping staff.
Yes.
It will then flow over to the facilities department in a more pronounced way when things like holes in walls and gaps under doors and sweeps on dumpster gates and things like that need to be addressed. So expect that will come too.
And when your pest remediation company comes in, you should require of them photographs of all the points that they would need addressed, not only cleaning, but also wherever they see the crack and where in the restaurant that photograph is taken. You take a photograph that far away from a small hole in the wall, you don't know where that wall is unless it's a very specific wall covering that you can identify. I have traced down holes that have been identified by pest remediation companies for months, trying to find where that hole is that they found. And actually, we found a bunch more in the process because we were looking so closely.
Well, and we found too that working together in chasing down these issues, the thing that seems to make the most sense is to set up an on-site meeting in a non-operational hour of the facility and have the pest remediation folks, have the restaurant operations or facility operators, and have a contractor there if there's to be some third-party work that's done as well. So I think that bringing the three together to ensure that everybody is communicating, they're all on the same page, so to speak, and they can truly put their finger on and identify every issue that is part of the scope of remediation.
And that time's free. You don't charge to go there and do that, do you?
Oh, of course not.
Okay.
Well, I think as far as the level of severity of pest remediation, I mean, there's the life safety issues associated with contaminants in food, and Don, I'll let you speak more to that.
Yeah. Well, pest issues in a restaurant are critical. You shut down by the health department or the liquor board, either one instantly. It is a critical, immediate, must-have correction situation. It's as important as loss of electricity or fire or anything else. It is an emergency to start the process of getting rid of them.
And going back to the opening of this episode, when we talked about the perspective of the restaurant general manager who has to deal with, the rat running across the dining room during a busy lunch rush, or the roaches that are, scurrying about. It's a bad situation, not good for the brand, and it's certainly something that needs to be a 5-star priority.
For a restaurant, foodborne illness and pest infestation are business killers.
How heavy is that?